Just before we get going on this episode, I'm going to give you a shameless plug for Châble skis. Châble have just very, very kindly agreed to sponsor me for skis for the forthcoming couple of winters, and I really, really appreciate them doing that. My current daily skier is the Châble RX12 GS, which is an amazing ski. It's a sort of old school ski, no funky tech in it, but it's just got a beautiful flex pattern, and it's a really fun, playful ski, which is what I'm looking for. Certainly in a ski. So if you're in the market for a new ski, check out Châble skis at châble.com. Hello and welcome to episode 22 of the Ski Instructor podcast. My name's Dave Burrows and I'm the director and owner of SnowPros Ski School based here in the Porte de Soleil in Switzerland. This week I have an interview with Tom Waddington. Now Tom is the current Alpine director of the British Association of Ski Instructors. He's also director of New Generation in Verbier, and he also runs a little B&B just by the base of the Châble lift called Una Lodge, which is where we met actually for the meeting. So we interviewed in person. This was back in May, just while there was still quite a lot of uncertainty, sort of COVID uncertainty here in Switzerland, but that's all really eased off now. They've backed off on a lot of that stuff. I know that the UK and parts of the US, various other countries are still, heavily into lockdown, and hopefully that's going to ease for you all soon, like it has done here. And frankly, the people have gone, the population of Switzerland have gone back to normal life pretty much as it was before, with the exception of a few arrows on the floor and disinfectant at the entrance to every shop. So life continuing as normal here, and I hope that reality comes to you soon enough, if you're still in a sort of lockdown situation. It's a beautiful day here in the Porte de Soleil. You can hear probably behind me the birds are singing and the sun is out. That's after about a week of rain, and we've actually had some probably snow down to about 2,200 metres, I think. The glaciers are open, or starting to open up. Zermatt is open for skiing, and I think Sasfay opens up. My sort of more local glacier, Sasfay, will open up I think at the start of July. So yeah, things coming back to normal for a skiing summer, so that's going to be great. In this first half, with the interview with Tom, we talk about Una Lodge itself. We talk about Tom's skiing background and some his transition, actually, where he went away from ski instructing more towards ski racing, and some time that he spent training with Dave Riding in New Zealand, and what kind of things we can learn as instructors from ski racing in general. You might hear throughout this interview a few buzzy noises. One of us left a phone on the table, and it sort of vibrated its way through to the microphone. So if you hear that, don't worry. And later on in part 2, there's a phone call where I forgot to turn my phone off, so you might hear my phone ring. But aside from that, it's a really, really good interview. So enjoy the first half, and I'll catch you in part 2. Welcome to the Ski Instructor podcast. Tom Waddington, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. It's a bit weird because right now I would have been in Hintertux finishing off my last exam.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's strange to not have skied for the last 2 months.
It has been weird because you run quite a long season here in Verbier. So I should explain to the listener, we are in Verbier. We are at Tom's hotel, guest house.
Yeah, B&B.
B&B, here, just opposite the Châble lift in Verbier.
Yeah.
And yeah, your season was due to run to right. So Verbier, they run almost an extra week compared to where we would be. So
yeah, till the 28th, end of April. Yeah.
And yeah, we've all missed out on 20% of the season, maybe.
I think so, yeah.
Something like that. And yeah, so I've arrived here, parked up. I apologise, by the way, for this haircut. Yesterday, on the recommendation of one of my ski instructors last season, he was like, "Oh, you found this brilliant hairdresser," barber.
Yeah.
It's sort of styled as a barber. It's a triumph of marketing over talent.
Right.
It's absolutely ridiculous. So I went to this place in Saint Maurice, just down the valley here.
Yeah.
This guy that went in, it's like an old school barber shop, and I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll see how it goes. It's literally the worst haircut I've ever had.
Oh, it looks good there.
Oh, no, I've saved it. I saved it. But it is terrible. And, I'm appalled. I just absolutely appalled. But, here I am. So it's a recommendation. Do not visit the barbershop in St. Maurice.
Thank you.
The guy's a cowboy.
Listeners,
yeah. Now, why don't we start with like a potted background of the interviewee.
Yeah.
But let's do it a little bit differently this time. I want to know more about this place, the Una Lodge opposite the Châble lift station. How did all of this come about? It's a brilliant story. You told me, but let's tell it.
Well, yeah, I think being a ski instructor, part of it is always trying to add strings to your bow and develop other areas in your career or learning or whatever. And I think with Una Lodge, because I was a Swiss resident, I was just kind of looking around and saw some land here next to the lift in the Châble, and it was a really good price. I was super surprised that it was next to the lift and a good price. Yeah. And from then on in, that was a 4-year project of building a B&B on the land, and it's been a successful business for the last three winters now, and summers, the summer market's starting to grow.
And that whole project, how was your French?
Pas mal. Je parle français.
Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so because that getting big projects done like that in a foreign language. Yeah. We were talking earlier. I have a hotel also in Morjan that we use for groups and stuff, and negotiating with people in your second language, architects, engineers, I imagine, planners, whatever, is not the easiest thing ever.
No, so, I think often with these kind of projects, there are side benefits that you push yourself to do something out of your comfort zone, and then suddenly I'm having to learn French to speak to the architect, to speak to the builders and stuff. Yeah. And now, for example, I'm doing the Paton for the restaurant industry, which is a 6-week course. I'm doing it in June, which is actually going to be online. Yeah. And that's completely in French, and the exam's in French. Wow. So I really have to be working now on this is my French grammar book here. Yeah, see it. On my written French and reading French. So yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. That's really cool. It's nice to go and do these things. I went and sat because I think now if you renew your permit, you have to have a language test as well. So I went and sat that in Lausanne, found out what they regard my level of French is. Which is B1, I think, which I was pretty pleased with. I didn't do any prep, I just rocked up and did it. Nice. But it's right, when you come to a foreign country, often it's when you chuck yourself into like weird situations or difficult situations is when you learn the most. Going to the mechanic or something like that, like you learn stuff. And it's cool, like it's really, really cool. Yeah, exactly. When you have it as a learning experience, I think it's really, really nice. Yeah. All right, cool. And you have so it's a super location. People come here, park up, dump their skis in the ski room or whatever, and then the next day they're straight up the lift.
They're straight up the lift, and one of the beauties of this is that you can actually skip Verbier and go straight on up to the slopes. Yeah, because the lift goes all the way up. So it's people like that.
Fantastic. Okay, so 3 years into this project. Yeah. And then. Why don't you explain to us, so what are you juggling that with as well? So your role on the mountain, you're still working with New Gen?
Yep, so I'm director of New Gen in Verbier, so the Swiss company, or one of the directors. And so I'm still juggling that, but I've had to step away from the day-to-day running that I did a lot in the past, and we've got a really good management team in now who are doing a lot more of that. Yeah. And helping me out on the finance and the sales and looking after the instructors, so I can sort of step away from everything and make sure that this place is running well, and also look at the ski school from more of an overview.
Okay. That's kind of where I'm trying to take my role within my ski school. It's the same. It's like, because you can't do full days on the mountain and operate the ski school at the same time.
No.
You can't. It's too difficult. There's other stuff that you need to kind of think about.
I mean, depending on your size, especially if you want to grow, it becomes really tricky if you are on the mountain and trying to do emails, answer phone calls, and
I see so many kind of independents who are trying to do that exact thing. Like they're in a lesson and they're on the phone trying to sort out something relating to the operational side of their business, and it's not cool. You can't do that. You can't have that sort of compromise, I don't think.
No.
Okay, so your day-to-day role with New Gen here in Switzerland is then what? Like, so you're not on the mountain teaching. So what are you kind of doing? What sort of stuff are you involved in?
Well, actually, I'll have a weekly meeting with the management team. I'll be on hand for anything that they might need, anything important. But they have their own job roles, and they kind of stick to those roles, which works really well, because when we have our weekly meeting, they just report into me with some figures and what's been going on, what the plan is for the next week, and that way works well for me, because I don't have to get as involved. And then I look more as a director at creating new business, what we're doing on a wider scale, linking to the other New Gen resorts across the Alps, staying in touch with the main directors. Tom Saxland and Wright, and that's kind of where I'd see what I do with the ski school. And then on second to that, I'm nearly all the time in the off peak coaching with the level 4 program that myself and John Alson run.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we were gonna. I think that it's certainly worth talking about, and I think John, I'd love to get hold of him for an interview at some point.
Oh, I'll put in a good word.
Yeah, thanks. Get him. He's a busy man. I know. I normally see him. I see you once a year, and you're always standing somewhere at the bottom of the M25 piste in Verbier, and it's always early season because there's no snow where I am, and they come around here. And I'm always like, hey, how you doing? Yeah. And then, so that's my experience of seeing you. But I always see John in Sass Bay.
Yeah.
I always see him like there in November or something.
Yeah.
October, when it opens down to Arena. I always see him in that cafe.
Yeah.
Weird. It's always the same place, same time every year.
It's funny that you do see the same sort of people in the same place.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It just suits to how kind of our industry works. So, so that's something that we can get onto later, because I really want to ask you about sort of the gap phenomenon. Over the years, and certainly it's hugely popular here in Verbier. For sure. But let's go into sport background first, because we have a common friend. I don't know. Do you remember a guy called Mark Hendry?
Yes.
Right. He used to teach you rugby, right?
Yeah, he was a rugby coach of mine.
That's right. Well, Mark Hendry, turns out he's now the head of sport at one of the ancestral schools down there. Riviera. And he said that he saw you or something on social media the other day. He was like, he's a hell of a skier. I'm like, don't look too close. You'd be comparing me and him. Like,
you're making me blush, Dave.
Well, no, it's only his words, not mine. But he says hello, and like I say, you have a sporting background other than just skiing. Like, what was your journey? How did you end up getting into skiing?
Well, I definitely was really into sports, and a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none. Played a lot of rugby, played to an okay level. Played at university, played squash, just all sorts of sports really. I loved sports. And how I got into skiing was actually, my dad was a school teacher. He was a biology teacher. At Greenhead College in Huddersfield, and he had just got into going skiing up to Scotland, Aviemore, and so when me and my brother were young, we were like 4 or 5, he used to take us from Yorkshire on a weekend, and we used to drive up to Aviemore to go skiing on weekends in the winter.
Oh wow!
And so that's where I learned to ski.
Proper snow.
Proper snow.
Anyone who's Scottish will be like, it's proper snow.
Yeah, I've got a bit of respect, but yeah, I just remember it being really windy. But
yeah. It's funny. Do you know Peter Kuehl, obviously? Every time I see PK, like I'm convinced I get on really well with him. I'm convinced he just regards me as like a southern softie. Because every time it's a bit like nasty outside, isn't blue skies and stuff, we're due to meet up, or I call him, he's always on the mountain. Yeah. And I'm like, it's raining. PK, what are you doing?
It's tough as PK.
What are you doing? And he's like, it's nothing. It's nothing. Like he just shrugs off terrible weather.
Yeah,
It's a bit blowy today. Oh, okay, mate. It's kind of like this. So I think if you learn up there, you really, really learn to ski, right?
Well, yeah, you definitely learn how to deal with bad weather and all that kind of stuff. We were skiing up there in the 80s, and then my dad started to run the school ski trip.
Okay.
Yeah, and so as kids, me and my brother were lucky enough to go every year with the school, and kind of get instruction wherever they went, and we went to loads of different resorts.
Oh, he changed it every year, wasn't it?
He changed it every year, yeah.
Oh, cool. Because schools have struggled with that these days. So I was telling you about the schools business that we have.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard these days for schools to change where they go.
Yeah.
Because they need to do risk assessments, and in some instances they need to visit it and stuff.
Yeah.
So often they're just stuck in the same cycle, going to the same place, which is great if you own a business that does that, because it's sort of a repeating clientele, but I guess in the old days you just changed it and go wherever you want.
Yeah, I don't think it was a problem back then.
The health and safety or whatever. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, but then we started going on family ski holidays later on, and we started going to Latania in Courchevel.
Okay.
And actually, that was my first intro to BASI, because a guy who ran a company called Family Friendly Skiing in Latania, Tony McMahon, he was doing his BASI. He was going through his BASI at the time, but also running the chalet.
Yeah.
And he was just as carving skis were coming out, and so he taught me and my brother to carve with these new carving skis.
Yeah.
And he just loved skiing, and he was a massive inspiration to me. And he just took me and my brother out, and we just skied all day for 6 days. We'd come back, we'd watch ski movies, Blizzard of Oz,
amazing,
some of the classics. We were just hooked then on skiing.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then where did that journey take you after that? So did that lead you into kind of the pathway of getting BASI qualified, or where did that go?
Yeah, well, actually, then it was, I went and did my A-levels, went to university, got a degree in accounting and economics, and didn't really ski that much, a few holidays here and there. And it was after uni, I didn't really want to be an accountant. And
see that?
And
that's my worst nightmare.
Although those skills have come in handy now.
I can well imagine
running a business, but
I have to outsource all of that.
Yeah,
because I just I look at numbers. I swear I'm dyslexic for numbers, but I just can't do it. Numbers have a certain logic to them. They add up, which is nice.
Yeah.
But you should have seen me the other day. I was trying to put a cash flow together.
Yeah.
For something. I'm just look like a monkey tapping on. Why doesn't this work?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. So I then thought, right, I'm going to go and do a ski season, and I chose to do a gap course in Maribel.
Okay.
So I did a new gen gap course in Maribel, and
you're like a product of the system.
Well, yeah. I am
actually.
I am. Yeah. And I absolutely loved it. And then I suddenly realised, well, actually, I didn't realise this was a career. And then I think I spent the next summer looking for some graduate jobs in London. And then I was like, nope, I love skiing, I'm going to go for it. And then just booked all my season, went to work for Interski for most of the season whilst doing my other exams. And that was me. hooked into skiing and going through the system. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And did you always work in Verbier, or were you in different places?
No, I was different places. I did a couple of sort of seasons at Interski in Aosta Valley, whilst doing ISAA exams, and then I went to train with BASI in Morzine.
All right.
Jazz Lam, and Kev Mockery.
Yeah.
And I did a couple of seasons there, getting my level 4, and then just before I got my Euro test, I didn't want to put the pressure on too much of basing myself in France.
Yeah.
And then going for the Euro test while I was living in France. So I took a job with New Gen in Verbier.
Okay.
And then just got the Euro test before the season.
Yeah.
Which was brilliant because I was full cert.
Yeah.
I was in Verbier. I loved it in Verbier and being with the team and teaching. But also I went to go and do weeks in Tignes, in Val, in Valandry, and work for different New Gen schools around the Alps in France. So it was really a good experience. Yeah,
that's really good, because you're one of the ones that is, I wouldn't say it's quite a rare beast, because I've been telling this to a number of people that maybe I interview or whatever, or kind of have had this conversation a number of times, that there are people now, I think it's fair to say, and maybe we'll discuss it later when we talk about BASI, but the BASI system is sort of, with the Eurotest at the top of it, is sort of targeted towards people who want to go and work in France.
Yep.
It's just a personal opinion, maybe disagree, but there are an increasing number of people who are full cert but are not based or not doing their thing in France. You know, they'll come to a place like Verbier or Zermatt, Saint-Moritz, or wherever, because actually Verbier is an incredibly wealthy place. You know, there's a lot of money to be made here during the ski season. It's a long ski season as well, compared to kind of slogging yourself in France for, you know, in some cases probably less money. Yeah, and that might be the case in the coming years as well.
Well, certainly, I think especially with the level 4 equivalent, so BASI, if you get your full cert level 4, you can just apply through paperwork to get your brevet fédéral, which is for the listeners the highest sort of qual in the Swiss snow sports system. But it's an equivalence; it's not the actual qual. But which means you get
the actual qual will really you need more than the French verbs book for
you certainly will.
I've been there and it's not easy. You're right, and like I say, with that equivalence that goes across, I think it's really it's a great opportunity for people to go and do that.
Yeah, and I think ski instructors like it here. You know, I've worked in France, I've worked here, and it depends what you're into, but I know that here is, for me anyway, it's a bit more chilled out, and definitely if you get the good clients that you like, it might be long lunches, it's much more private, full days, really good tips, and ski instructors kind of like that, and I think sometimes in France it's groups and groups and groups, and can be a little bit
like a sausage machine,
a little bit, but don't tell anyone.
No, don't want too many people coming. No, it's true. Like, I've heard the stories. I can't remember the guy's name, but there was a guy who was telling me that he was working in Zermatt, and he said, often the Zermatt ski instructor experience would be go to client's hotel, wait for Russian client, ski literally directly to lunch restaurant, and then long lunch, go home, like that. No tuition involved. Now, I'm sure that's not the majority, but there are certain places in the Alps that is the ski instructor experience for some people. Just a sort of glorified guide in effect.
I've heard a lot of people say that, glorified guide, and some people are quite against it actually. And I know where ski instructors would.
Yeah, I'd rather teach.
I want to teach. But some people don't mind it, and I guess if you get a mix and you like all sorts of stuff, then that's quite a good thing as well.
Yeah, it's true. I'm definitely on the side of I'd rather teach when I'm supposed to be teaching.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not really a lunch kind of guy, to be honest with you, despite what we were talking about earlier about weight gain during the season. All right, so we met, I think initially the first time we met when I was doing some training for the Swiss Snow Sports International equivalence thing. I was super impressed by your skiing at that point, but we had talked kind of extensively. This is gonna jump over, I think, a little bit in terms of what we're going to talk about in technique, but you said that you'd trained or you'd done a bit of a season or some training, race training with like Dave Riding and his crew back when he was, I guess, at Fierce or Europa Cup level.
Yeah.
What, and you said that he was working a lot on kind of low speed stuff. That was his thing at that time. Do you want to expand a little bit on what you were trying to do at that time, or what you were doing, and then how that sort of tie-up came in place?
Yeah, I think it starts further back for me, because I actually failed in the Euro test quite a few times, 6-7 times I think. And the rest of the system I went through quite quickly, but the Euro test was a real challenge for me.
Why was that? Were you, in your opinion, were you taking it too early?
Yeah, I
hadn't
think
learned enough. Or
I just
what was it?
I just didn't have enough race experience. There's a whole psychological aspect I'd not even considered. I'd never really gone around gates and line. There's so much, and when I was expecting it to be, no problem, I've got my level 4 tech and I'll walk into this and no worries, and then it was hard for me, and I had a lot of failures, and I truly believe that actually failure is one of the best things that can happen to people, because you learn so much more from it.
Yeah.
You learn so much more from it. And there's a cricketer, Sachin Tendulkar, who said better never stops. And back then I really liked that phrase, because one of the best cricketers in the world, and he's constantly trying to learn.
That's
right?
genius.
Yeah.
Did you play cricket as a kid as well? I guess you must have.
I'm the only Yorkshiman not to really like cricket. Yes.
Joe. Don't say that too
loud. So I was like, right, I'm not. I really like racing, and I want to get better. And it made me realise there's a whole new, different world out there.
Yeah.
And I really liked the coaching element to it, but I didn't know enough. So my idea was then to become a FIS racer after I got full cert, and I did a couple of seasons saving up for it, working as a full cert instructor, and then I actually went down as an athlete to New Zealand, and as a 30-year-old managed to get a FIS license.
Amazing.
And do all the New Zealand FIS races, the slalom and the GS, and I ran out of money because I really wanted to do the Super G, being a bit of a bigger lad.
Yeah.
I think I might have been okay, but
that's where that bulk comes in.
Yeah. And so to actually then go and get coaching, after passing the Euro test and try to get better, and have a proper race coach there, and working for 3 months was absolutely brilliant, and I learned so much more about my own skiing. Where my faults were, and at the same time Dave Riding and Tristan Glass Davis were down there, and this was while Dave was still on the Europa Cup. And I managed through Sean Langmuir to get a connection. Cool. And I wanted to learn more about coaching, about technique, about everything, and I actually managed to spend a month with them down there just shadowing Tristan.
Amazing.
And that was brilliant, because I started to learn more, and I was skiing with Dave. We were going to the gym together because he then had a training partner, and just the amount of knowledge I got from just 1 month with those guys was incredible. And actually, then the season after, they invited me to come and sort of be an assistant coach in Saas-Fee.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because they're often there, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and we actually started out in the Snowdome in Glasgow, and Tristan was on holiday, I think, and so I had to video Dave every day doing really slow drills in the Snowdome, and then we'd go to the university, the Institute of Sport in Stirling, and we'd go and do all the sort of really high level fitness testing, and it was just incredible to see that and see what a top level athlete goes through. And this was Europa Cup, and so then we spent the next 2 months in Saas-Fee, and what was incredible to me was that Tristan, instead of just going more, he actually said, look, Europa Cup, you're going to break through onto the World Cup, but we need to work on that left foot. and he just stripped everything back to sort of fundamentals, slow skiing, and it was completely tedious, you know. It was again, nope, that's not it. Again, nope, that's not it. It was like 3 months of that. Nope, you've messed it up again, Dave. No. You know, video. Yes, that's it. Okay, right. But now we need to do that on bulletproof ice and faster. And it was amazing because to see that patience from an athlete, but also sort of strong will from a coach not to just change or anything.
I'll give up on it.
Was incredible, and to see an athlete just working for hours a day just in slow skiing, you know, 1-2 drills max, left foot, and you know, by the end of Saas-Fee, you know, Dave was starting to put it into his skiing, and then that's when he broke through onto the World Cup that next season.
Amazing.
And then he's done pretty well since then.
It's pretty good. It's interesting that, because I was watching. What was I watching the other day? I was watching one of those one of Tom's videos, Tom Gelly's videos. He was talking about that some skiers are quite different from one side to the other. He was talking about Manny Feller, I think, in that particular video, and You're right in that respect, that when you look at someone, well, like you look at Dave Riding, right? You know, he's extremely, he's identical on both sides, and that must have come from something that came way back. You know, there must be a time game or something within that means that's why you would want to correct that difference. On both sides. Yeah,
for sure. It made him quicker. He was much faster on his right foot than his left. So.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me what you learned during that period, because FIS racing skiing and ski instructor skiing is different, or is it the same? I imagine it's much different, and they're looking for different things. So what did you discover during that period?
For me, this is one of my little things of I'm lucky to have experienced both, right? And when I see videos online of people comparing sort of what ski instructors do to World Cup athletes when they're on a injected ice, bulletproof slalom slope, you know, that with a crazy offset. You know, I've tried to ski that type of thing, and I'll tell you a funny story. Actually,
we've all been to Alpe d'Huez, right, at the start of the season. So
but Alpe d'Huez is not injected ice, you know, and it when you're looking at the World Cup, it's just like almost they're aliens, you know. It's almost a different sport to what we do on nicely groomed piste, or grippy snow, and I think then to start making technical comparisons of that is a little bit off, because actually when you see the World Cup racers skiing on the grippier snow, it's much different. Looks a lot different to what it looks like when they're skiing, trying to make a gate and the hips have dropped back, and you know, pure athleticism and strength and power often gets them out of situations. And you know, Dave, 73 kilos, squats 190 for 3, no problem, and to see him bounding over huge hurdles that I can't even jump over one, you know, it's just a different league and a different level. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot we can learn from that, and you know, a lot of the instructor systems are based around ski racing and the technique in that, but to directly compare or to look at that, I think is, you've got to appreciate that there is a huge difference between what we do as ski instructors and what World Cup or high level athletes do.
So what does that look like for you? Like where does that, where's the difference? If we're talking technique, where would you start even to talk about this subject?
Okay. Let's give you an example. I think if you look at one of the runs in Verbier, I think one year it froze and maybe a pipe burst, and it was like a glass sheet of ice, and absolutely nobody could ski down it. And for me, just the difference is what they actually ski on, injected ice with the equipment that they do, is so much different. And then you've got to put two races together without making huge mistakes, because if you make a mistake, that's gone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's just, you know what it's like when you ski on bulletproof ice. It's so much different and gives so much more feedback than skiing on nice grippy hero snow.
Yeah.
So for me that's key. And then there's the whole strength, power, fitness, professional athlete type thing. But a funny story, when I was racing in New Zealand, I only had one pair of prep skis because I could only afford to take one pair down. And so I borrowed someone's to inspect. And I think at the time I was going down Big Sky in Treble Cone, and these inspection skis hadn't been serviced, and it was so icy that I couldn't control my skis side slipping, and I continued slipping and crashed into the Korean team and knocked them all over. It was so embarrassing because they're like, what are you doing? It was pretty.
When we were skiing together
Yeah.
for that thing we were doing, you were on this infamous Jean-Baptiste Grange pair
Yeah.
somewhere. Are they still around?
They're still around. I've kept them as I could never control them. But
They were brutal.
I don't
Really
think
stiff.
Dave could either. And that, that's he sort of lent me them, and they were beasts. Yeah, super stiff and aggressive. Slalom ski.
Yeah.
Made for Jean Baptiste, and
There's a difference. I think there's other levels, isn't there? There's like fist spec which you can get, and probably your average ski instructor could handle those. But when you go to World Cup level, it's just a different world.
yeah, that's just another little addition there. They're all made for the athletes, and they're a lot stiffer. In general, everything, the boot, the ski, and then when you put that on top of ice, it's the forces that you have to deal with are very, very different.
Yeah.
That's when I finished in Saas Fee. That's when I think I was around then, and that's when you came.
It was certainly near that
over,
time, because you were
right?
talking about this whole thing, which is that's why I found it so interesting.
Yeah.
I suppose one of the differences really that you're looking for between racing and ski instructor skiing is that ski instructor skiing generally you're looking to control speed, right? This always strikes me as the biggest difference between the two. You're controlling speed. Your athlete, your racer, is trying to find speed, and so everything becomes different from that point, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's a different mentality. Doing short turns down the pitch up there, is a question of, can I keep control of my speed? Can I, finish the turn off sufficiently?
Yeah.
Your average racer isn't looking for that.
No, they're looking for maximum efficiency, maximum speed, and quick down the hill for sure.
And how are you then, when you bring that into your own skiing, because you've done that, right? So when you bring that into your own skiing, and I don't think you ski particularly, if I remember rightly from the stuff I've seen, you're not a particularly BASI skier.
Yep.
You look like you've got something else in terms of a style, and that probably comes from that racing experience. Is it fair to say? You just do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Rather than.
I think so. I often think there's a bit of a bad rep of the BASI skier. I see that as just a misinterpretation of what you're meant to do as you're going through the ranks, as it were, of the levels. As in, often we get this sort of robot idea or BASI robots or whatever. And I think that's just people not really understanding separation in terms of their own performance and what separation is.
Well, let's talk about this, because the other thing that we haven't discussed is your role. You're the BASI Alpine director.
Yeah,
it's a great opportunity to talk about the robot.
Yeah,
and the criticism that's often levelled at BASI skiers in that they're quite robotic compared to our.
So this is a common misconception here.
What
that goes on?
No,
as in Alpine director.
Oh, you're not responsible for that.
you're thinking about technical director, which is actually now Henry Meredith Hardy.
Really?
Yes.
I thought he was a training director.
Technical training director
that's a different thing.
is the same thing.
So I need to go and interview him.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. Yeah.
Well, let's get your opinion on it, and I'll pitch it to him.
But Alpine director just really means I'm on the board,
Yeah.
and I represent the Alpine membership, so all the Alpine members of BASI.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Didn't know that. Shot me down.
there you go.
But I'm still going to ask you.
I get that a lot. A lot of people come up to me and go, "Can we change this in the criteria or whatever?" I'm like, "Well,
This is all your fault.
Not quite my role."
Well, yeah. Well, it seems like you have an opinion on it, though. But so, I can't remember who I've talked to about this. Various people contact me on the back of this podcast, and often I had a really long chat with a guy whose name I've forgotten. Sorry, whoever you are. Lots of long chats about why BASI skiers look like what they look like. Especially when you compare it to, say, you see enough really good Swiss skiers up here from the various schools or whatever. They look a lot freer compared to their British counterparts. Why do you think that is?
Honestly, I think it depends on what sort of questions you're asking and who you're looking at, and this is often where assumptions are made. And I've done the PSIA system, been down in NZ working for rookies, and I've worked with a lot of the Japanese, and I've done the Swiss system and been a race coach. And for me, good skiing is good skiing, and you can see if someone can bend a ski and be athletic and dynamic, and if you can bend the ski, you can work it, you can carve it, and for me, that's good skiing.
Yeah.
And there are certain ways to achieve that, and all of these systems have their ways. But when you look at the best in these systems, you look at the Swiss, and they're absolutely incredible in the demo team, right? But
they have a big pool of excellent skiers to choose from.
And
a lot of those guys are ex-World Cuppies, right?
They're ex-World Cup, and they're essentially a pro demo team, But when you actually look at the skiing, it depends what you mean, because it's their legs that move a lot, right? But they, for me, are pretty separated, and maybe they move a bit more with the arms, but actually it depends what you look at in terms of the shoulder joint, the rib cage, and what's moving. And when you see the best Swiss skiers and the best from different systems, I think what you see is that it's the ability of the lower joints to move really well and to then just balance on top.
Yeah.
And the misinterpretation comes in all systems lower down as to, the Swiss are a bit freer, so I see so many skiers here swinging around on slalom skis, and the rib cage is turning everywhere, and and they're popping up and down, right, because they see the Swiss. But actually, when you see at interski, you see they're not popping up and down. They're just moving really laterally, and so for me, it all comes down to experience. If you're an ex-racer or have you just come up through the system, there are a lot of differences there in what you see as the end product.
It's true. I think if you've been, and I've said this to a few people, and I'm sorry, listener, if I'm repeating myself, but if you were brought up here, let's say little, I don't know, Jean-Claude, who lives in Brusson, skis for the ski club. He's been doing that every Saturday and Wednesday since he was 6. He's going to ski in that sort of racer style. He's going to have that sort of base of technique. If you're, with respect, I'm just pulling this out of my butt, right? But if you're 30 years old and you've had a career change and you used to be, I don't know, an accountant or something, you're probably going to end up with a slightly different style, because little Jean-Claude his mentality is, I just got to do what I've got to do to get through this GS course. Whereas as you come to it later on in life, or this is, and a lot, I think the BASI system is designed to cater, I think, a little bit for people like that, people who want to take a qualification, but they come to it as an adult, maybe. The temptation is to say, I see a picture of what I think this should look like. I see pictures in books, so that's what I'm going to look like. And maybe that's where that tag comes from.
For sure. I think it's, I think how Drake talked about in your previous podcast of the golden nuggets thing. Often, if you haven't come from a background of skiing, and that a lot of these systems they're upside down pyramid. We need to attract holiday skiers.
Yeah.
And then from the holiday skiers, we need to sort of be able to teach them all of the skills.
Yeah.
And what happens through the learning process is actually people just want to focus in on, right, so-and-so has told me that I need to keep my upper body still because that's going to help my separation, And because they've got so much to learn and the body doesn't know what's going on, unlike Jean-Claude from Brousson who's just done it. He's just done it all.
He doesn't realise he's learned it either.
No, exactly. He doesn't realise if someone asks him to change an output or turn shape, he just does it, and he separates or does whatever accordingly to what he needs to do. But actually, when it's ex-accountant, career change coming in, they might really focus in on some specific points and say, I have to do this to be a good skier. For example, I hate the shoulders down the hill thing. It's just such a cliche sort of shoulders down the hill, and that just makes people, for me, sort of, they separate from the sternum, and then all the rest, the hips, everything else, a lot of the spine is just turning underneath, and they say so fixed, right? But they're not seeing, well, where do we separate and what joints, for what turn shape, for what conditions, and all of that is just the learning process.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's but if we had the opportunity to redesign it, or I don't think we could do it in a different way unless there were significant numbers of, like, how would you redo the British way? Because it's kind of designed for exactly its purpose, which is getting people in at, say, 1-2 level who want to take a qualification, but they might be based in a snow dome and it's not going to be their life. I think here it's life. That's the difference, right? You see these little guys going and grab, see millions of them. Ski Club Burrows, Ski Club Verbier. They go up there. The pyramid's huge.
I think for me, it's great that we have this, and a lot of nations who, flatland nations, whatever, who don't have mountains, they have to learn in different ways and capture the market in different ways and introduce people to skiing in different ways, and I don't think there is really a way you can change. For me, it needs to be a skills-based approach. I think I do like the idea of being a little bit more prescriptive in some stuff. For example, I really like some of the Swiss stuff that they do because they have a mix, right? They have a free run, let's say in a test where you've got to do 4 turn shapes that are switch. You've got to go into back into forward. You've then got to do different turn shapes, and that's a free run, and you are sort of judged and marked on that. And then they have the corridor thing that I think we did a little bit in South Fay, which is, for me, a fantastic test of a ski instructor.
It's got everything.
Yeah.
The free run also, I think I love the idea of that. It's that for me is probably, they would be the things I think that I would chuck into BASI, things that sort of promote agility.
Yeah, for sure.
A little bit more, because that really then separates those who can move from, it would get away from this kind of robot tag, I think. But they've got all sorts of weird stuff in this in the Swiss final instructor exam. They've got a long jump in it.
Yeah.
Like there's freestyle in it, which I think is definitely something that needs to be, it's hugely important to the people that come to ski.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's something we're really working on now. It's a project within BASI that we're wanting to get back into BASI, and I really like the Swiss progression of how they do it. It's not not too, you don't have to be doing double backflips.
No.
It's just a steady progression, and I think that stuff is great.
Yeah, you can get 5 out of 6 for a Cossack.
Really?
For a red kicker.
Oh, nice.
That's proper old school trick.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't spin very well, but I could bust out the
Old school. Yeah.
Oh my god. How long have you been Alpine director?
2 years.
Enjoying it?
Yeah, I am. It's been a challenge. I'm really happy I took on.
Oh. No, we're all right. Sorry.
Yeah, it's been a real challenge, but it's been a learning experience, and putting a lot of free time. It's not a paid role. It's
Wait, what?
Yeah. Oh, another classic question is, how much are you getting paid?
Note, Jim Lister, this man is paid more.
No, all of the board role, apart from the chairman, which is a small fee, but it is, it's voluntary, and we represent our respective memberships, Nordic, Telemark, and Alpine, Adaptive, and
that's cool.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, going on to the board, and it was quite a new board with a few of the older members in there.
Yeah.
And I just felt there was a real culture of acceptance in there, and I was almost to be told, this is the strategy, this is the budget, you just say yes. And I felt that a lot of the previous boards had just been sort of yes, we'll agree to that. And actually, the first time, the reason why I got into this is for the membership, and it is to truly benefit the membership and give back to the membership. And I didn't believe that the membership were getting enough, and actually, and this was the first time that the board said, well, no, we don't agree to that budget, and we don't agree to a lot of things, and we need to actually make a change of what's been going on.
I got that feeling from that very first webinar, which I think is really, really good. And I'd like to say I put myself forward to be on one of your working committees. Something or other had to do with communication, maybe. But it's kind of motivated me a little bit to get more involved, because it's all very well kind of sitting on the sidelines and sniping, right, and going, it's this, that.
Oh, I mean, BASI's full of sort of bitter snipers, keyboard warriors, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and unless you really chuck your hat in the ring and and go and see for yourself what it's like from the inside,
exactly,
you can't make that judgment, really, can you?
No.
So fair play to you for what you're doing.
No, and we're doing a lot of things. Did you see the Protect Our Winters webinar last night? And now we've got a new carbon literacy CPD course that you can do. There's some really positive stuff going on in BASI. If we hadn't sort of reduced a lot of the staff wages and moved a lot of our processes online, the Tom Cloak, who's come in, who works with a lot of different businesses, sporting organisations. He's also a BASI member. He's come in to help the transition from the old CEO and just help BASI out with his experience. And he's been absolutely fantastic. He has, he's moved stuff. A lot of our IT systems we've realised are inefficient, costing a fortune. If we hadn't done a lot of the stuff that we had done, we wouldn't have been able to operate with COVID coming in, and we've been operating, for the last 6, 7, 8 weeks from online.
Yeah.
Whereas before, we've got a big office, big staff costs, and we really, to be competitive in this modern market, a lot of other organisations do not have a lot of staff and big wages, and
it doesn't need to be that way, does it?
No.
But I think it's the nature of organisations. So organisations grow. You've probably been in and around enough of them to see this, right? Organisations grow. We see it enough with big corporates clients that we see, you know, the guys down by the lake and stuff, they go through periods where they just take on overhead, and then, you know, it reaches a peak where there's like loads of people just kicking around in the organisation doing not very much, and then they have to be cut away. So a new guy comes in and he's the cost cutting CEO, and it's just how it is. Like, it's the nature of cycles.
Exactly, and I think I heard a good thing the other day. A good test of a business is if you were to shut it down today and restart everything from scratch, would you be the same? Would you start everything the same?
Yeah.
And if you ask that question to BASI, certainly not.
No.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could think of a million. Well, that's why I was showing you earlier this little chart that I'm doing. You know, I do this annually.
Yeah.
This kind of idea of and listener, you can't see this, but it's essentially a picture of my ski school, and I'm trying to go down the road of just using this time, this shutdown COVID time, to not sort of reinvent, but just critically look at all aspects of the business.
Yeah.
And say, could this be done differently? Is there anything that I can do? And I said to you earlier, I found 3 things that somebody else should be doing that I shouldn't be doing. And why would I? You know, like my time is better spent elsewhere. I'm better spent doing relationship management, or, you know, taking Mark for a beer or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff is more important to the business than me sitting there filling in the spreadsheet for Montan Pro or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to do that. Someone else could do that. And you've got to be harsh and critical when you're reviewing these kind of things. And I guess the same thing is what you are as a group now doing with BASI.
Yeah. We're making hard decisions which people don't like. But it's hard decisions that are essentially going to turn BASI around. We're going to be able to save more money. We're going to be able to give more back to the members. We're going to be able to run more digital stuff. We're going to do more YouTube videos. We're going to do more marketing. We're going to all the stuff that members want, and, you know, cheaper courses instead of putting course prices up, which was in the old budget. You know, it's stuff like that we really want to give back to the membership by, and this COVID thing has been a real wake-up call, because actually we don't need a lot of the stuff, and it's just we had processes that we wanted to do in a time plan, but this has just completely accelerated it. You know? I think that it will be a learning process for lots of businesses.
I really hope that you enjoyed the first half of this interview with Tom. The bit that I'm always amazed to hear whenever I kind of get close to anyone who's raced with anyone at a decent level is just how different Alpine ski racing is from the sort of type of turns that we make as ski instructors on a daily basis. You know, it's a completely different animal. Now, in part 2, we carry on and we talk about something that you see often in Verbier and some of the other European resorts, which is something called the gap year phenomenon. And that is, that's what a lot of students do between the end of their sort of formal schooling and going to university. So we talk about that, and the guys that sort of come out to be ski instructors for a winter season. We go on to talk about parallels between rugby and skiing, and sort of sports people as learners in general. And then we talk about a sort of higher level training program that Tom has running in Verbier. And we finish off with just some Verbier history and a little video series called Rip and Grip that Tom and his friend John did over the last couple of seasons. So enjoy this second half. I've got loads of interviews lined up over the next few months, and I'm hoping to travel to some other places to get some skiing in and meet some people. So there should be content coming for you over the summer, and I really I hope that you enjoy the second half of this interview. Look after yourselves, and I'll catch you on the next one.
So let's switch the subject a little bit. Not too much, because it's still kind of BASI related. Whenever I come to Verbier, quite critical of Verbier. I am. It's not my scene. It's just too big. Feels like a big city to me, you know, but that's what happens when you live halfway up a mountain. But I see many ski schools running gap years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those, we've got a lot of US listeners on here. I don't know whether they do gap years. I'm not sure what that looks like for them. But so the thing is that a gap year is you finish your regular schooling here at, say, 18 years old. You take a year out between that schooling and when university starts. So you don't start that immediate September. You take a year out. You travel the world. You go up Machu Picchu or whatever. Or the other alternative is you come to Verbier and you learn how to be a ski instructor for the season.
Yeah.
And almost every ski school up here, no, that's not fair to say, a lot of ski schools up here have a sort of gap student program, sometimes to a winter, as I understand it.
Yeah.
And it's really quite the phenomenon here. It's not, I would say it's the same elsewhere, certainly in some of the other centres in the Alps. There are some in France. There's certainly a bit of a centre in Val d'Isère.
Val d'Isère is something similar.
Yeah, but it's a really niche and quite a unique thing, I think, to the British market, actually. Yeah. And you're right in the middle of it, because the New Gen Gap is one of the ones that I see most people on those courses. You've got quite the machine of kind of getting those people in and having it. How did that all come about, and how does it run? You know, what's the deal behind it?
Well, I think a lot of gap courses, you know, they came into BASI, and it was a great way to attract new people and to a new career, you know, and especially for those people who have got a year out, you know, it just became a product. And when you package it all up, it's it's a little expensive, but I think what you get out of it in the end, you know, you're a qualified instructor, you're doing something constructive with your time, right, and learning a lot. So gap products are essentially really good, and they then obviously became popular. I think they provide great work for your instructors in your school, especially in the off-peak times.
Yeah.
Because it's going more into the coaching. You get to ski at a higher level, that kind of thing, and so they work well for ski schools in the fact that it provides more job satisfaction for the more experienced instructors who want to get into that. That might provide other career opportunities in becoming examiners, for example, and then those actual gap students may want to carry on as well, and they may become instructors, which definitely for different schools in Verbier that happens every year, pretty much, you know, and they then some even progress through the system and become sort of career instructors.
What's do you have any stats on like how many actually make a career out of it?
There are stats, yes. I don't have them to hand. I wouldn't
off the top of your head.
10% maybe. I'd say, just because if you look in your average gap numbers, 10 a course, and in Verbier there's probably 7 courses running, you know, 70 people plus probably even more with some other systems and double gap courses running. So, and a lot of them it's just an in-between before university or getting a job. And so I'd reckon about 10%.
The reason I say that is because that was kind of my experience. So I'm a gap course product. I'm a course of the Warren Smith Ski Academy summer gap back in the day, which was fun, and it was, like you say, it's everything that you said it was. It was a learning experience, but I was the 30-year-old accountant changing career thing. So for me it was a little bit of a different experience, because I came into it with a view to, this is what I want to do longer term. It's not kind of, I'm not doing this just because whatever. And there were a lot of kids on that course who were doing it just between, you know, and I was the only one that's really gone on to do anything out of that particular group that's ever gone on to be. So that would be around the 10% mark of what they were doing. I don't know if they still do a winter gap. Those guys, I don't know. I think they knocked it on the head.
No, they do. Yeah.
Oh, they do.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a few. So that's where do they all stay? You have like 70 of them kicking around Verbier.
Yes, but that's what makes Verbier quite fun, I think, because you're here. Verbier is a party town. You're with a lot of other people who are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge for coaches because you get blurry-eyed students in the morning every morning, and they don't seem to listen or want to learn in some cases. But I think a lot of gap courses package accommodation up. So it's everything. It's food, accommodation, training, courses.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And generally that's a 10-week course in a season.
Yeah.
And I guess the beauty of Verbier is that if that course starts in December, then if you get your level 2 by the end of it, there are a lot of ski schools who need instructors, and you might get 1-2 weeks work in or if you're really good, you might be working for the rest of the season.
Yeah, the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Well, no, you do see that around. I have to say, I spent my time on Les Azers, and there's a lot of kind of what looks like gap students there who were teaching kind of at that period when I was teaching. I don't go to Les Azers very often.
Yeah.
But that was quite interesting to see a lot of those guys who were kind of obviously gappies, like doing their thing. But I suppose if you get them started early enough, early December maybe, they can be ready with a level 2 by the time you get to February half term.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
within the BASI anyway, they can't teach until they get the level 2.
Yeah.
But, with the shadowing and the level 1 and a lot of the stuff they do, if it's I have this thing a little bit in Verbier is that sometimes at that level you should be really with beginners, right? and in beginner areas, and often in Verbier at the busy times especially it's not such the case, and you do often see inexperienced instructors all over the mountain with clients, and I think sometimes that can be a little bit dangerous. It's not that beneficial for the client. That is, I would say, a bit of a thing about Verbier.
I think it's a tricky thing sometimes, because there comes that period, we've all been there, right? And you'll see this when the bookings come in and you're sitting there looking at half term thinking, crikey, like, how are we going to fill all of this? You've just got so much kind of going on.
Yeah.
The temptation is, I think, and it certainly happens, you see it, especially among some of the ski schools around our area, they will literally put a jacket on anyone, inexperienced or not. That's one of the issues that I have with the current setup here in Canton Valais, is that you have that little proportion that you're allowed to employ within ski schools. You can employ people with no qualifications whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's almost like the dirty little secret of
Not many people know that.
No.
You just need to be part of a ski school and do the induction week.
Yeah, which is poor, and you see that. So you see that especially at high season. You see people kind of skiing around in jackets.
Yeah,
you're like, I'm watching you ski. You're not a ski instructor.
Yeah,
you don't have what it takes.
Yeah.
And that really annoys me in many ways, because actually, no, I let the market take care of that. The market forces take care of that. But I will not put our clients in that position with unqualified people. But some ski schools have no issue with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
And parents will then come and give their kids over, their precious kids, over to some little kid who is barely older than the kids that they're teaching, and they're in a collective lessons all week. I'm just like, I will not sell you that product. Like, it's no good.
I think you're right that the market forces do take care of it a little bit, but in another respect, with skiing being such an open sport, for example, if you put your kid went to a tennis coach and the tennis coach couldn't even hit the ball back over the net, you probably want to look at a different tennis coach. But skiing's quite an open sport, and the way that we sort of judge what is a good skier is so varied, right, and so subjective. And so I often feel sorry for the client who's paid a lot of money for someone with little experience or in the wrong area, for sure.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is that there's no real way of the client sort of knowing that. Like for the clients, like, what does a good skier look like? Often they don't know. What does a good ski instructor look like? Don't really know. And you sign up for your thing. You sign up for you put your kid in a collective lesson or whatever. You don't get to find out who's teaching your kid necessarily until you're there. And then you meet at the bottom of the lift, give little Johnny over, and he's off up the lift. You don't know what that guy skis like. You have no idea. No. It's really strange that. It's something I've been thinking a lot about with regards to how we do that. The way I do that at my ski school is like that everyone is qualified. Often, in fact, the case will be probably in a year or two's time, the minimum we will employ is like ISA level people. I reckon we're not far away from that.
Yeah.
And that's something that I guess you can put on your branding. I don't know whether clients care about it or not, but
that's what we do. But what we found is actually no one really knows what that means.
No.
Because how we look at skiing is what level run can you ski? Oh, I can ski a black run. I'm expert.
So, it's an interesting one. I don't know how we communicate that.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's really interesting that going back to gap, that is often the criteria for most gap people to come on a course is, can you ski the whole mountain?
Yeah.
Can you ski a black run? And everyone goes, yeah, I ski it really fast. I can, I'll come on that gap course. And often you get on the gap courses, it's a real hard job in 10 weeks because people don't really know what skiing is that is good, and they think they're really good because they can go fast and straight and skid sideways a lot down a black run, or just about make it down somewhere. And actually, when they start to learn about how to turn and how to ski moguls, for example, suddenly they're like, oh wow, there's quite a lot to this.
I think gap courses are one of the hardest things because you've only really got a short. Let's say your average gap course is 8 to 10 weeks long. 2 weeks of that is the level 2 BASI course if you're going down that road. 1 week of that is the BASI 1 course. That leaves 7 weeks. Yeah. Presumably there's some other stuff in there that they put in, maybe some mountain safety stuff, I don't know, whatever. But that's not a great deal of time to break down existing bad movement patterns and then build it up into something like that looks a little bit more ski instructor-y, really.
No,
habits are quite hard to break.
No,
in that respect.
You've got a lot of habits to break. You've got a lot of perceptions to break, and it can be really challenging.
Yeah. I can well imagine. Okay, now, and does the gap course phenomenon, does it show any sign of like numbers up, down? Like, is it show any sign of kind of going away, or is it just a steady stream? It's
not as popular as it was 10 years ago. It's shown a bit of a decline, I would say. I don't know the figures, but certainly the last few years with outside forces and Brexit and now COVID, it's just I guess it's a little bit of a big step and quite a lot of money for people. So I think there has been a bit of a downturn, and then you get a lot of really big gap providers that the ones that do all gap across the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're specialist big gap companies. So sometimes competing against those companies can be quite hard, I guess.
Yeah. The power of marketing, I guess.
Yeah.
It's all about. Yeah. Okay. How do you... This is an off-topic question. Well, it's not. It's actually on. But how do you separate... Because presumably when you do your gap, you get some sort of Does ski instructor jacket come with it?
No.
I was going to ask you, how do you separate in the bars? Like who's a proper pro and who's a gap?
I think we learned that early on from gap courses. A lot of people have that. People have got caught in trouble and said this is an instructor, but it's actually not. So all of our branding, they do actually get a sort of jacket and stuff, but it's all
like a training jacket.
Discreet, yes.
Yeah. So when they're caught at like 2 a.m. in
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Was it orange or was it?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Do you? Okay. I was going to ask you. With regard, I'm just going to jump you back all the way to other sports.
Yeah.
You played a lot of sports as a kid.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say rugby was your big one?
Yeah.
Are there any crossovers between rugby and skiing?
I think, it's just that general appreciation of how to learn a skill.
Okay.
And that's so important, because if you're used to learning a skill, especially something that involves coordination, proprioception, then you understand the time constraint on it. You understand that it's not just going to change from one bit of feedback. You understand you need to put effort in, and when you've done that, then you find that sporting people, when you're teaching them or coaching them to ski, just seem to be able to, right, I get it, I'm just going to go and do it.
Yeah, they're quite coachable.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I think that's a big aspect of sport that you certainly is an advantage when you're maybe taking up a newer sport. And then on top of that, you get all the benefits of, like rugby's, a lot of lateral movement, forward movement, a lot of strength, the power stuff, coordination with the ball, hand-eye, all that kind of stuff is of course beneficial to skiing.
Yeah,
I would say. There are always exceptions in this stuff, but in general, that's what we see.
We should explain to our American listeners that rugby's like a version of American football, but better.
Whoa!
Just throw that grenade in there and walk away. What position did you play?
I played 6 in rugby union and prop forward in rugby league.
Rugby league?
Nah, lad.
You're proper nutter. Really?
Yeah.
6 in rugby union, so that's the guy who's like just scrabbling and fighting for the ball.
Yeah, blindside flanker, a lot of tackling.
But presumably there is. So you're right. In rugby, there's a lot of kind of go forward, move. That's the objective of the game, right? You can carry the ball or take yourself forward. But there is a lot of lateral stepping.
Yeah.
To evade tackles or to confuse the opponent as to regards to what your intentions are, right?
Yeah.
And I suppose that then, like I say, how does that manifest itself? I'm trying to think how it would work. What am I thinking about here? Well, I'm trying to think, when you're stepping off of one foot to change direction, do you end up, how does that work when you're physically running? Are you inclined? Do you separate, or does it depend on what you're doing?
I think if you're going one way and then you need to go the other way, just like in skiing, if you go off one side, you need to have some sort of balance with your upper body, and often you see someone sidestepping and the foot is outside. You see it in the animal world as well, and everything is that if something is displaced, and you need to balance on that thing, depending on what levers you've got. But a rugby sidestep would be, you've gone lateral and you need to move in a different direction, and you need to find the most efficient way to do that.
It's interesting.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say there's massive correlation between rugby and skiing. It's more about knowing how to learn a sport and then taking that into dryland training, being physical enough, being strong and fit enough, because I also think that's a big thing with clients and ski instructors in a way, is that skiing's often seen as a leisure activity, right? And I don't know about you, but often can get a lot of unfit people in skiing.
Yeah.
Who've just come for a holiday, and they don't really play any sports, and they're maybe a little overweight. And you know, if they can't stand up off the floor, then you're generally in trouble, right?
One of the biggest things I notice. Sorry to the people from the UK. I'm just about to insult you with a big generality, but the biggest thing that I notice with the clients that come from the UK is that many of them, and it's especially bad with kids. Some kids, not all kids, but some kids, they are very, very weak here in the middle of their body, in their core.
Yeah.
Really weak, like floppy almost.
Yeah.
You're trying to pick up, especially when you let's say you try to pick up even expat Swiss kids, like kids that are here, whatever. It seems to me they're more sporty somehow. You pick them up off the floor and they're strong enough to get up. You pick up some kids from the UK, and there's only some, it's not all, but some. It's like picking up like a wet rag.
Yeah.
I don't really get it. Like I don't understand what the difference is between the two countries. I haven't spent a lot of time in the UK for a long time, and I don't understand. Maybe there's an issue with sport at school or something like that. But it's
I couldn't comment on that. I don't know really.
Being diplomatic.
No, I don't.
Just
know
don't
much.
pick many kids up.
Yeah, I actually don't. I'm just sort of train other instructors mostly these days.
Yeah. Well, it's something I've really noticed is there's a real sort of floppiness in some of the modern youth.
Right.
It's
too much computer games.
I don't know. I don't want to be that guy though. I don't want to be that old, because that's when you're old, right? It's like, you kids, all we do is play computer games.
True.
But yeah, there's something strange about that for sure. All right. Well, we've been going quite a long time now, or at least an hour and a bit in.
Yeah.
You've got a bunch of other notes written down there. Is there anything that you want to talk about?
I think just a little bit about, working with John and our level 4 program, and then training instructors at a higher level. I think
I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah,
if you want to.
Yeah. So basically, what we do in Verbier, we run a season-round periodized training program that is kind of aimed at people who want to get their final cert.
Yeah.
It's mainly BASI. We don't say it's BASI. We just say that we will help you to become better at skiing.
Because generally level 4 skiing is level 4 skiing,
yeah,
irrespective of what system you're training.
We help you to be a better performer at skiing to help you pass whatever exam you need to pass.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because John is qualified in a number of areas, isn't he?
He is. He's Swedish ex-racer, and he is. He went to NZ. He went to Argentina for NZSIA, and he's NZ qualified. He's Canadian qualified, and he is a BASI trainer.
He's been all around collecting tickets.
He's been around, yeah, yeah. And I really love working with him because he has so much experience and a really nice way to look at coaching and skiing, and also a brilliant skier, and I think we work quite well together in our coaching and our program, which is, we do pretty much 10 weeks of training in the off-peak in Verbier, and this year we had 3 groups.
Okay.
And
Who trains the third group?
We split that, so we can do 1 week it's Team C, 1 week's Team B, 1 week it's both together. Yeah. Because one of the programs will go for the exams that are in March in Verbier, and then the other one will go to the end of season exams. So we can play around with dates.
Okay.
But I think what I learned from working with Dave and Tristan and is that we try to put that program into being more of an athlete type program as much as we can. That it's periodized, and at the start we try to break down a lot of the funk that comes in. Often ski instructors who are at sort of level 3, they have managed to hit criteria, but just about hit criteria with not that functional movements, And what we do is we strip that right back, and we work on the fundamentals, we work on really slow skiing, we work on getting the basics right of what you need, and we take 2-3 weeks of doing that. It's really frustrating for the learners in doing it every day.
Yeah.
And something we found is that actually being a good coach is not changing. It's not saying, oh, you're getting bored now, let's go and go powder skiing. It's, no, we're sticking at this, we keep doing it, and we will see when it comes to February, after February, you're starting to change your skiing. And that's when we do, in January we start to do more brushes, we do some more of the Swiss corridors, we do some gates and stuff, and then as it comes into the March, nearer to the exams, we start to ramp everything up, and what we see normally then is the fundamentals. We get rid of a lot of the junk sort of stuff, and the bad habits, and we see that people are able to perform a lot better at a high level. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. And is that, when did you start running that?
6 years ago. No,
really?
I think no, maybe 5 years ago. 5 years ago. Yeah.
And you have how many students did you say you were running through that each year? Roughly.
This year it was around sort of 19, 20, I think, and some are come in and out. They're working for different schools, and they don't do a full program, and then some are there for the full program, etc. So it's not just in-house New Gen. We have another team made up of other instructors from different schools.
Yeah.
So it's really fun for us. It's an awesome job. And
I was going to say that's the dream, right?
I think you said earlier, we often get a lot of stick for standing at the bottom of the M25, and
no, I said that's where I saw you. I mean, next year when I do see you there, I can give you some stick about it if you want.
But we do that, and we do that at the end, because essentially what you need, and we try to teach our trainees to not be feedback junkies, and essentially what you need in those stages is just practice and their own feelings, and you're able to step out more as a coach and step in when you need to.
I've been reading a book that lately to do with motorcycle technique. Sorry, listener, motorcycle chat again. But motorcycle technique is very strange. I'm trying to get my head around. This book was telling me about motorcycle technique, which is actually it's different, very different, but in some ways similar to ski technique. It's more towards getting towards the inside rather than the outside. But there is an element towards getting to the inside where also in terms of sort of looking with your head and shoulders and whatever, but there's also an element of trying to get your elbow lower than your wrist. Which actually, if you sort of think about that in terms of skiing, it's almost like the breaking of the inside leg to promote. You're looking at my sunburn, aren't you? But anyway, what that book said was the purpose of a teacher is like quoting Zen or Buddhism or whatever. So the purpose of the teacher is to get rid of the teacher. Just get yourself out of the way.
Boom.
He's there, and exactly. There's some deep stuff right there for the end of the podcast. Where can at the end I always say to people, where can people find you if they need you? We haven't talked about Rip and Grip.
Oh, yes.
Last one. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, let's do it. Last year you put out quite a cool little video series. Some of it was you and John ripping turns. It's quite impressive.
Well,
it's all right. It's better than I could do. But I also found the interviews you did. So you interviewed a sort of old Verbier head here. I can't remember the guy's name. And I found those super interesting. So was that just a one-off, or is that something that you're going to do more of, or was that cut short because of this?
I would really like to do more of it. Depends on budget, for me, I was just. Have you seen Marcus Caston and Return of the Turn?
Oh yeah.
I
love how that.
I mean, he's an absolute.
There's a guy.
He's an absolute legend, and he's a hero of mine. And I saw those episodes, and I was like, that's absolutely brilliant, because I see so many people who don't have that much ski technique, and they've got big fat skis, and you know, avalanche bags, and they benefit so much more from actually learning a little bit of how to ski. And
what's that about, by the way, Verbier? The fat skis, avalanche bags, and they're never skiing off piste, these people.
Well, it's interesting because in the second series of Rip and Grip, it was all about the 80s here, and a really famous ski photographer called Marco Shapiro, and they lived in a chalet, and they were sort of ski bums and ace cavalli, and they were on the freestyle team for Willy Bogner and the Bogner brand, and he basically took lots of photos in Verbier, and they were on Powder magazine and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they made Verbier famous. But and it was Plaky, and you know, Marco was actually in Blizzard of Oz, and you know, those boys could ski on the straight long skis in powder, and they had amazing technique, and you see them in the bumps, incredible, and they would just ski every day, practice. And part of that second episode was actually, well, if these days it's just so much easier with equipment and everything else, and Verbier is a free ride mecca. It's unbelievable, you know, you can access so much stuff from lifts.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But then you see, because then it attracts people and they get the fat skis, and they've not properly learned how to ski, and I think they're missing out. So Marcus Caston is like, learn how to ski everything. Skiing piste is absolutely amazing. Skiing some bumps is amazing. Skiing different stuff. And when you've got that solid fundamental and base and technique, you can go and do anything you want.
Yeah.
And so that actually inspired me to make these videos, and got a few more ideas for some more.
I'd love to see some more, what I'll do is you give me a link to where they are, and I'll drop that in the notes of the podcast somewhere.
Yeah.
So people can watch those. But I also love those Marcus Caston videos. The way that guy skis is so
lovely,
loose, fluid, right? He just does what he needs to do to balance.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it doesn't look like ski technique. Do you see what I mean? It's just like balancing, active balancing. It's just wonderful to look at. And I think one I really, really liked that he did was he went to this like little hill in Buffalo somewhere. It was like just a tiny little place, like one ski hill, just a family hill, or one lift hill, and you know, just having a great time with people. That's what skiing's all about for me. It's like, you know, it's the sense of community and just getting up there and having fun and that kind of thing. Yeah. All right, cool. Where can people find you if they need to find you?
I'm in Verbier. I live in
Everyone
Châble.
knows me.
What sort of things do you need? Like an email or?
No. Well, I'll put them in later. But like, if anyone wants to get in touch with you for whatever reason, or you know, where could they?
I've got a Facebook page, Tom Waddington Ski Coach, or Instagram, Tom Waddington Skier. Underscore skier. Anything like that is cool if they want to get in touch.
All right, and I'll drop in a link to this place as well.
Cool.
As well as
so I'm sort of based in Una Lodge in the Châble, and so if anyone needs some accommodation, you can also get in touch.
It's brilliant. All right. Well, look. Thank you so much for taking the time to be interviewed. I really appreciate it. That's going to fall off again, isn't it? And
awesome.
yeah.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Good to see you.